get started on her research. The names of her parents, William Cormac, Mary Brennan. None of you guys were expecting a secondary Mary. So again, we had Mary Reed from the ship. It wasn't another subliminal trick, it just happened to be that way. So Mary Brennan was actually a servant of her father's, so it was kind of a big affair. It's a whole other scandalous 30-minute story. We're not going to get into it, but there's a lot going on with that particular story. As far as Calico Jack, I like to show off what he looked like as well, because everybody wants to see what the original Captain Jack Sparrow looked like. He was named Calico Jack because of the jackets that he wore. They came from the British captains that he killed. Jack's father was actually a tailor, so textiles were very important to them. Calico Jack, fancy jacket for a pirate, anyway. Now, the name of his ship was the Kingston. I don't necessarily expect the word Kingston to come through a radio station. The word King would actually suffice in this location if it was a direct answer. Again, Kingston is actually a city in those islands down there, so again, it was named after that specific city. Again, we didn't have a whole lot at this location either, but again, I've seen tours where it was light like this in real time, and the next day I'm going through it, and I'm like, how the hell did Nick miss all this crap? So again, it does happen. So right now, I'm going to say that this was pretty light night. I'm sure you guys would all agree with that. We had a couple of small, very few spikes with Steven's device, a couple of small little phrases here and there, but I got nothing that's going to tie it in for a specific, like, oh my god moment, you know, like a holy cow. In videos, here's how your data is going to go. You're going to get a link tomorrow morning between 12 and 1. If I have to deep dive into research on something extra that I found, it usually takes me until about 1 o'clock. You guys are all going to be doing Charleston things anyway, unless you're going to work. So Nick lives here. So the other piece of that is that there's going to be a field guide at the top, like a link to how to use all of this equipment, or how to watch all the media from it. So if you didn't have a spirit box or a specific type of camera, in that field guide shows you how to use every single piece of equipment that was out tonight. So it kind of helps you navigate through all the media. And there's examples in there from other tours, so paranormal, supernatural things that have actually occurred. The other thing you're going to see is that it is set up and it's very lengthy. Today's what, the 21st? 21st, right? Yeah. So I have like 8 or 9 more tours on top of yours. I separate everything by month. It does stay up there for an entire year, and this report is pretty lengthy. So try to get to it in the next couple of days. Everything is downloadable. The videos go to YouTube, so you can watch them however. All of the audio pieces are MP3s. Right-click, download. Those are easy too. My notes that I'm going to give you, because there's going to be a lot of them, you can copy-paste those into a Word document, and it'll bring the links with it. So that way you don't have to keep revisiting my website and trying to remember what damn day you actually came and hung out with me. So again, it's going to get lengthy because they're going to keep stacking on top of yours. Again, all of this stays up there for an entire year, so if you want to go back and see another date, you're going to see differences in the way that the report comes out, because again, I just started gauging the conditions, so that way I can kind of repeat things on how things are actually going. But again, I think you guys did well as far as like paying attention to like what your devices were doing. You had a lot of like very vague terms, so you know got the gist of how to use it. We didn't have a whole lot coming out of your device except for that crazy 11. But again, it's still newer. We're teaching the ghost how to use the damn thing. And the camera's in real time. We never know. It's a rarity that we capture something in real time. It's one of those instances that it's always on the review the next day. So again, I spot check everything. You guys are gonna have fun with the rest of it. As far as how much data you're gonna get back, let's stop the audio so it kind of gives me a gist, and then I'm gonna lower the volume before you guys pull out your earbuds. With yours, Andrew, you have to shut yours off because it doesn't change. I don't time this, it's just kind of whatever happens, happens. 1 hour and 55 minutes. So again, I told you guys roughly about 2 hours. Sometimes I'm out here for 3 because we have that much going on. It's just this way it goes. So I'm going to stop your audio because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It is illegal. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging. Now, I don't know what's going on over there, but anyway, that's going to be on your audio. Very good on you guys, right? So, Dad is still up here in the Charleston area. He bails out Anne. He brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. She has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending, because we don't know much about her after her pirate career. Mary Reed dies a year later, 1721, in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Most books and articles will tell you that it was fever. I'm going to call bullshit. It was probably scurvous and nasty and gross and whatever else you guys want to come up with. Or that. That works too. out on the word list? Oh, I thought we had a direct answer. I was like, damn. I was like, we got a good one. Now, again, this is pirate lore. You guys can ask whatever the hell you want to in here. I'm not going to hand out a whole series of questions. I'm only going to give you 2. Play with whatever you want to. But the questions I have for you are the names of Anne Bonny's parents. I did not tell you what those were. So I left that out purposely, so you have something to work with. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So that's an interesting one too. Stephen, with yours, you're going to be using the motion sensor in here, but you're going to be trying to ask Anne Bonny what her hair color is, and that you had the answer right there. It was you, but that was the answer. I like that. That's cool. It's about time we got something on yours. We have the word vessel, everybody. I'm excited. Oh, by the way, we have the date of November 4th when we were coming out of Philadelphia Alley. I'm 98% sure that was the death date of Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So she heard it direct November 4th with a Saturday on it. I'm going to be diving into the whole thing. Now, the other locations we can actually go to, those of you with cameras, if you want to go to the front of the Power Magazine, you have to exit the lot, go in front of the bushes to your left, and you can get some footage over there if you'd like. The only thing I ask is you don't interrupt other tours. You can also go across the street this way to the cemetery and get some footage over there. Don't interrupt the other tours. Just remember that there's 2 cemeteries over there, so if you want to get some footage, we're going to know within 5 to 10 minutes here if there's anything actually going on. This is where you guys all know what you're doing by now. I'm not going to be bouncing around. I'm going to be waiting for you guys to come back to see me in 5 minutes by the wall to tell me what you've heard to see if we're going to wrap this up or keep going. So listen out on those spirit boxes. Again, lots of tours around here. Don't interrupt them. Let them tell their stories and move on. Let's have fun at our last stop. Let's do it. Any crazy guys come back.
Excuse me.
catch anything?
Nah.
Anything crazy going on over there?
That's too many people on that side, so I went on this side.
Andrew, you got anything?
The only other word I've got is bridge.
Bridge. We have a radio station called The Bridge, so that's pretty common. I usually throw those ones out. Good catch. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Those two are
Yeah, they actually had to go. So apparently she had like a bathroom. Here and here off. All right, let's go to the wall. We're going to pull you up and get together. We're doing a whole lot inside.
What is 8? 80?
Another one behind it. Anybody hear any religious terms while we were over here? That's pretty common because of the church.
I heard Holy Ghost.
Yes, sir. Energy
Holy Ghost over there.
You heard Holy Ghost?
Yeah, when we were over there.
And that's what the sign says over there.
Oh, does it?
There's no ghost over here but the Holy Ghost. That's over on that side.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I call bleed over. So we will actually get terms over here from Philadelphia Alley that make complete sense. Why is that being... All right, so let's go over the quick answers. I'll collect your devices, and then get you guys back if you have any questions, or get you guys back to your vehicles, whatever you guys want to do. So 2 measly answers. You already know that Anne Bonny's hair color was red. So one of the few pictures you can find of Anne Bonny with a shirt on. So the reason why is because she used to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. Told you, this chick was pretty badass. So Mary Reed did the same thing. So again, you're going to get a lot of links about Anne Bonny, especially if I find anything relative going on in the recordings that you got.
Now there's some distance.
them all written down. Anybody else hear anything crazy? Andrew, you got anything?
I just heard now there's some distance. Wonder does like over at the intersection.
Hey, how's it going? You got anything on the word list at all? Show up along the way here? Nothing.
Row.
Just row. Still. Alright, so we're going to definitely keep clear of that vehicle. So come in a little bit closer. Obviously, you guys can see ghost tours are everywhere. This is Grand Central Station for ghost tours. So we are going to cover why all the ghost tours go across the street, which is over at St. Philip's Church, just because, again, another staple, and it is their big finale because it's their one show and tell, and I kind of let them have it. Again, you guys are playing with crazy gear. I don't need to interrupt all their work that they're doing over there. And I make it very, very brief. So, first off, you need to know that there's two different sides to St. Philip's Cemetery. Behind me would be the western side, and then obviously this is going to be the eastern side across the street. So, if you're from Charleston, meaning you're a native, and you belong to that church, you can be buried next to the church on the eastern side. If you're not, you go behind me on the western side. Your 7th Vice President, John Calhoun, is behind me. They didn't know which way he was supposed to go, so they moved his sarcophagus several times trying to figure out which side he belonged to. Turns out he just lived here a long time. He's not actually from here. But that side behind me is usually open during the daytime if you want to walk one of our cemeteries. It is one that is usually open until dusk. So they're all across the street because there's a sign right inside that cemetery that reads, "There's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost." There's a reason for it. Bless you. That sign is there because in 1888, a young lady died by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. Now, we talked about initials earlier. It's cheesy, it's campy. I hate telling you, but it does show up on my ghost hunts all the time. SHH, Sue Howard Hardy. Shh. Another reason why we have initials. I hate telling you guys this, but again, we see it, we hear it all the time. She dies 6 days after her stillborn child. So it's a very sad, quick, abrupt story, but in 1987, a local photographer was taking pictures of all of our cemeteries, putting a book together, and he captures a full apparition in one of his photographs. It's a pretty famous photo for, the paranormal field, but he sent it to Kodak because it's 1987. He doesn't know what to do with it. I don't think I have to explain what Kodak is to this group. That's kind of cool. Most kids think it's a damn bear. But at any rate. So Kodak just authenticates the picture that it came from the type of camera that he said it did, and that it was not altered in any way. What the other ghost tours won't tell you is that this picture is cursed. Any female that handles it in a digital format, even a tablet or phone, is said to get the same symptoms we talked about at the beginning: the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Pregnant females are probably not going to have a good pregnancy based on the gist of the stillborn baby in the story. Now, this is what I do for a living, guys. I'm going to ask you, because, again, I don't know who's here on vacation, and 9 months later, I'm going to be cursing your family. Don't touch my damn tablet when I go around the horn to show you the picture, because I will go 2 by 2, so everybody can kind of see what goes on with that specific, photograph over there, and I will zoom in on it. So, again, I'd make this one very brief, just because, you're going to hear it from another tour if you go on another ghost tour anyway. So we'll start on this side. This is the full picture that your apparition is right here. You're looking at a woman praying over her own grave with a baby
over there.
See the baby down there? This is probably another instance where the baby is buried with mom, because I cannot find any record of the baby being born or of their death. So I don't even know what gender. So a woman praying over her own grave, baby basket next to her. So full photo. Shoulder to shoulder, head, and the baby basket. When you zoom in on the baby basket on a computer, you can see the weaving on the basket. It's pretty damn clear. So, shoulder to shoulder,
This is
head.
taken, what, 87 you said?
1987, yep.
Wow.
Full photo. The apparition is here. You can see a woman praying over her own grave with the baby basket next to her. Yeah, so in my line of work, this is in the top 50s of best apparitions caught. So again, it's pretty famous. That's why every ghost tour likes to talk about it. So I kind of like it. We're here to talk about pirates, though. Let's kind of get into it. We're going to be discussing that little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. I will point out those are not crosses on that building. They're earthquake bolts. If you don't know what earthquake bolts are, basically they're turnbuckles. In the event we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, yes, I know history can be very boring. I'm going to call out every yawn, by the way. So it's getting late. So they're turnbuckles. We have another earthquake, you tighten them up, it's supposed to straighten the building back up. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The only reason I bring these up is because that's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713, which is exactly why we're here. This building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny came here to start her life. So, this is what I call a familiar. It's an intelligent ghost, but again, we have other buildings relatively close to this, but a familiar building is kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. It's the same type of principle. What was funny?
Michael Jackson, I always feel like somebody's watching me, so I can scream through.
I'm like, I know I didn't say anything funny. She must have heard something.
Sorry.
So, follow me, there's a lot of twists in this story. A young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress turns out to be Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? I always slow down on this part because it can be very confusing. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. From Ireland to here. Yeah, how angry was she? Just point that out. They land in Georgetown. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Again, hence why we're here. Now, Anne, back home in Ireland, was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was like 7, 8, 9 years old with a knife to the belly. So again, very specific clues, putting this mentality of this young lady in the back of your brains as we go through her history. Fast forward, the building's done in 1713. By 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. She's going to fall in love pretty quickly so she can get her freedom, just like a man. Yeah, that's how the way she was thinking. Guy number one. Yes, we're going to keep tally. There's a handful. Guy number one turns out to be James Bonny. We already know where this one's going because you know we're talking about Anne Bonny. The dad didn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married. You get it. But when you get down there, this guy is not Captain Jack Sparrow like she was hoping for. Like, he is not the dreadful pirate. So this guy turns out to be a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. So she falls in love again a few years later. Guy number two. This is John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. This is literally the person they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So this is exactly who she's looking for. He has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a pirate cruise. Anybody know why? They're bad luck. I know most people think a little bit dirtier than that, but it's very simple. They're bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this cross-dressing because Dad back home in Ireland used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice to keep her away from his wife. She knows it's a man's world. She's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. We're all adults here, put 2 and 2 together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So Jack drops her off in Cuba. We'll have the baby over here. These are friends of mine that help you come back and we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. Can't find any research at all of what actually happened to this child, if they survived or not. When she comes back, she's also dressed like a female, which makes Jack pretty angry. Jack, while she was away, captured another pirate crew, and they're down below deck, and Anne's going to go flirting with that pirate crew to piss off Jack even further. So, now we have guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So, yeah, 2 females on the same ship trying to be males, pirates. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we're really never going to know. But the British find out where they are. They send an entire fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. They probably don't know how to use a cannon yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. Obviously, 2 ladies are not going to take on a fleet of ships. So as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her boat, Calico Jack, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here a lot, by the way.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is what I get.
What did they say?
Oh, look, there's orbs. Orbs. Like balls of energy, like moving around. Which is basically what Jay is trying to capture for us with a real camera. So this guy probably has an iPhone where you have that little teal dot that moves around with your phone that everybody thinks is an orb. No, they're not orbs. It's a flaw in the iPhone camera. But anyway, back to the pirates. The judge, his name is Nicholas as well, so if mine or Nick's name shows up, it's usually not relevant to me or him, it's going to be about the judge. He wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own. Calico Jack and the drunken pirates are already dead and gone. He's already hung them. Now, Anne and Mary go in front of the judge. They reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. And he doesn't care that they're female. They're still pirates in his eyes. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bail. RI show up consecutively. I'm going to get to that in just a moment, but I always like to give you that focus when we're using that device.
Okay.
Because again, it's part of the reason why we have it is for this specific location. Everybody down here is telling the exact same story. You're going to hear it a little bit differently out of me because again, you need different details. Here's how it goes. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. There's your first RI. He's moving down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda, get rid of this doctor. Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston, which, by the way, his name is Joseph Brown Ladd. So who heard Joe? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we were over there.
Right when I turned this corner. Exactly.
So I'm waiting to see if something else is going to come up to kind of verify that. But Joseph Brown Ladd, he moves, as he's coming down, he comes down here to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. So that was the whole point of him moving here. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So he had a gunman inside of where this guy was going to be living, and he was going to kill him and take all of his money. But somebody was walking by, seeing everything that was going on, and he knew the guy, the coachman, that set him up. That guy who saw everything was named Ralph Isaacs, R.I. Now, we have two initials, R.I. We do get it. Before we even had the Ouija board, it was showing up on other spirit boxes, which is part of the main interest of me saying we can get initials on this thing too. So, Ralph tells the doctor, you don't want to stay here, man. I know this guy, he's going to try to kill you. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them and you'll be safe. Dr. Ladd takes him up on the offer, and the two guys become friends. The longer the doctor's here in Charleston, the more money he's making, proving his point that he wasn't just after Amanda's money. Amanda's moving down soon so they can finally get married. Dr. Ladd becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. I'm going to tell you right now that every haunted city that you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. Now, we're going to talk about the evidence from this place, but let me continue what goes on with this location. So we're going to let these folks pass through. We're going to split the seats. Oh, you're good. I seen you creeping up on us.
Thank you.
You hear the gunshot. Oh, yeah. Now, Ralph and the doctor, they go to see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other. The doctor makes more money, so he gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. They go see Richard III one night from Shakespeare, and they're arguing over the new actress that was here in town. I don't know which actress. I dove into this. I can't find it. But anyway, Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. The argument gets even heavier when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. Obviously it gets very ugly, and they go their separate ways. Told you Ralph has a lot of friends here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd sees the ad, rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this shit once and for all. He probably didn't say settle this shit because it was 1786, just so everybody knows. So they come down here, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He did not want to kill his friend, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. There wasn't always a loser. But Ralph, he has his one bullet, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Dr. Ladd drops to the ground. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. We're going to let this gentleman pass through. Excuse us. Part of the reason why he refused that medical treatment, you have to remember this guy's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out this bullet himself. Now, there are different versions of the story that say that the second best doctor came in and tried to help him out, that kind of thing. The campfire ghost story part of this is that as you walk through here, you obviously just heard those two young ladies say that they were looking for the gunshot. I have no evidence of the gunshot down here. However, they also say you could hear the whistles from the doctor. If you're going to go through this whole alley without me and try to use your voice recorders from your phones, keep in mind every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on this side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. We end over there, my garage is over there. So I have to pass the alley, and I always throw a whistle down the alley to kind of throw off all the other tourists. So we all do it. It's just one of those things. But you also have a voice recorder that I'm using, and you guys are all using earbuds. Do you hear how quiet it is right now? It is like this on a Saturday afternoon in this alley. I don't know why, but it is always this quiet. Again, it is one of the most beautiful, picturesque places we have in all of Charleston. I don't care how many pictures of Rainbow Row are on Instagram, this is one of my favorites. So if you're a picture taker, day or night, this place is gorgeous. So here's how I got booted out of here. This is the fun part, everybody. So, any neighbors that went by? Good. So, this alley didn't always go all the way through. It was actually used for livestock, so it actually stopped just past here. So there was livestock in here for the city, which means the bricks on the other side are older. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children, which means they had to turn them every hour to bake them in the sun. There's a full handprint at the end of this alley in one of those bricks and fingerprint swipes, and I always point them out because I'm sure you guys all figured out by now I'm all about history. Without that history, we don't know how far we've come. However, everybody wants to stop and get a reading from that damn brick. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not staring at the brick in the afterlife. You're not going to get anything from it. However, November 26th of 2020. Yes, a very specific date. I'm getting to it. My entire group of 10, just like this, is huddled around one brick, waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley, and we're out of bounds for being a tour. The new mansion owner came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. She was on the tour that night. And we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I didn't have a tour. I worked in retail management for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart. I'm sure most of you can understand why I'm never, ever going to work Thanksgiving ever again. Yeah. Kudos to that, right? So, I own a business. I can do what I want. So the next day was November 28th. Very specific date again. I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway, like everybody else, or to reroute my group. Because again, I was out of bounds. I decided it wasn't fair for my group of 10 to try to work around 20 to 60 people that are occasionally down here, and I was going to tell the story outside the alley and reroute. My group was fine with it that night, but I told them I didn't even believe in the story that we were about to go find because I'd never found anything there before, and we were going to be investigating pirates. I'm not a pirate person, I'm a vampire guy, so I wasn't really into it, right? So before we left, somebody hears the name Anne. I did not tell these folks that we were going to be investigating Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. So I went, oh shit, maybe something's actually going to happen. We get down there, I told what little bit I did know about piracy, because I had to do some research really fast, so I had a full group. Somebody else hears the number 300, and I have no idea what that means. So I'm doing the research the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I was like, damn it, now I gotta read about pirates. So I read more books on piracy, trying to put together a factual piece of investigation out of pirate lore. Be thankful I have a master's degree in creative writing, because everything we're about to talk about tonight on the next location is based out of more than one resource. This is not word of mouth from one specific resource. So again, trying to find factual information, very difficult to do with pirate lore. However, worst case scenario, because it is a hit or miss location, we're either going to have a lot going on or absolutely nothing. Hopefully it's not another Pinckney Mansion site for us over there. But you're going to learn a lot about pirates that you guys never even thought of about before, and it's kind of a crazy story. So, anybody get anything weird, or were you all focused on me? Because you guys are all like laser focused on me right now, which is kind of cool, but at the same time, you're probably missing things. Do you have anything going on with yours?
No RI.
Anything going on with yours? Word row? Can I see your word row? I haven't looked at it in a minute. Indian. Shit. That was kind of a little bit a while ago, huh? Before we leave this space.
Here's a message. As soon as I turned up the volume.
Before we leave the space, the gate behind me, I like to point out that this gate, not many people know why it's there. Keep in mind that this alley didn't go all the way through. So, in the event there was a loser to one of those duels that occurred down here, this was a shortcut to get over to St. Philip's Cemetery. There's a courtyard behind me, but the cemetery is literally right over there. Otherwise, they have to go all the way down to the end to Queen Street and come back down and around with a dead body. And who the hell wants to do that when you're trying to go get a pint to celebrate the winner? So, not many people know why that gate's here. Obviously, the wrought iron wasn't there. It was just an open doorway to get over there. A lot of, it's not a, what is that, an easement at this point? Like, it's different property lines at this point. Yeah, so we're going to go up and around the corner. We're going to be in a very popular corner of other ghost tours again. We will pick our spot and kind of go through a piracy deal, depending on like what you guys actually hear along the way. There's all kinds of stories on that corner, and I kind of go off the cuff if I need to. So we'll kind of see what happens, and let's go up and around the corner. If you want to continue with your video recording, by all means, keep them running if you'd like. Again, we're going to be around a bunch of other tours anyway. So, any crazy spikes come out of yours, by the way?
No.
I had one a few weeks ago, and I haven't seen it since. It was like 8.9 or 9.1, something under 10. Anything crazy with yours, Kenzie? Nothing. So how many pictures have you taken for us? Has it been like 4 or 5?
He stole it from me.
He stole it.
She was slacking, bro. So.
Slacking. It's okay. We'll see what comes up out of them. All right, let's go to. Oh, Andrew, did you have something?
Yeah, I just heard they'll probably be just fine. It was like a long sentence.
Well, here's a message, and they'll be just fine. I like that one. That works. Very vague stuff, but it's a direct. We'll take it.
IPL November 4th. Saturday, November 4th. In IPL.
You should be driving
I want to
Honda.
say
That's what I just
that's
got.
the doctor's death date, November 4th. That's actually really cool. Like, that gets me stoked. Normally we get his birthday, not his death date in this location.
Saturday. I wonder if it was a Saturday.
I don't know, but I
So
wrote
it's
it down.
Saturday, November 4th.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up, because sometimes that happens where we get the exact date, like with the day of the week to go along with it. run into this guy down here every once in a while. I'm sure you picked up I don't like to go where the other tours go. Now, this place, when we crossed that last crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. You're standing on one of the first streets we ever had. Now, the cool thing is I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. It's not a very lengthy list, don't be too impressed. Normally, you guys will tell me the same two names every 6 to 7 weeks, like if it's on a loop kind of mentality. Right now, we're on week 2 of that 6 to 7 week loop. I was not expecting those names, but I never know. Those two names are Benjamin and John. Benjamin and John both lived here at the same time. John, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here over a 60-year time span, so John likes to give us his last name as well. His mother was evil and named him John Johnson. So this young lady, we're going to pull that up. Normally they come through and because this is all connected to the same company, so but they're going to pass through us again. But anyway, John, Johnson, and Benjamin we usually show up in the same night during that 6 to 7 week part of the loop. Every once in a while we'll get a third name. The name is Jane. That's a third person out of 5. And by the way, we don't hear the name Jane too often anymore. So 3 people out of 5 in the same alley. I don't call it coincidence, especially when it keeps coming up on an exact loop. I just started gauging all of the weather and moon phases and all that mess about a month and a half ago, so I can try to pinpoint this a little bit further. So it will be at the top of your data set tomorrow morning. We do capture a lot of orbs down here, but I also want to explain, I have nothing, excuse us. So I don't have a whole lot of information about Benjamin and John, other than the fact that they lived here at the same time, but I do have an idea of why it's actually occurring. The bricks you're standing on. These bricks have been here since 1739 that we know of, so it's inaccurate. So again, it's rough, but at the same 1739. Now, these bricks are called Belgian blocks, and they're made out of granite. We're dealing with the stone tape theory here. Here's how this works. Any natural rock or any earthly material that's been in the same space for a long period of time is said to hang on to the memories of the things that occurred there, which is why I believe we're getting things here on a residual loop that keeps happening over and over and over again. Don't mind the theatrics, guys. Like, that's just a normal thing with other tours. I see he's like clapping and doing his hooting and hollering. But at any rate, these bricks are not supposed to have an electrical charge to them because they're made out of granite. Granite does not hold an electrical charge. So Stephen and Kenzie, by all means, pick a brick, set your device down, let me know, like literally put it on the ground and let me know if you get any numbers out of it whatsoever. Turn that motion sensor on. So you have a steady. So yours is steady, so that's probably coming from something man-made. What do you have going on?
It's 4.
Okay. I would expect up to a 1.1 because that's natural from the earth. So the fact that you have a 4, let's try another brick.
4.6.
Keep it climbing. Now we're down to 2.5, 2.6, 2.7. 2.7. And you got a pretty steady, like it's jittering a little bit, I can see.
5-0.
This brick is emitting something.
So
No
try
more
the
energy.
opposite side of the center. Opposite side. So kind of where Jay's standing over there, like almost like by his feet. I want to see like how far away. So we still have the same reading?
6-0.
6.
6-2.
6.6. We'll leave it there for a minute. Let's see if it climbs all the way up. That's. I've seen it go as high as 15 in this location. Like that's pretty high for this spot. And again, we're on week 2, so I wasn't really expecting much out of these. But yours is jittering over there, which is a good sign. Like it's not staying super steady, and it's not in a rhythm or a pattern. So you're getting a higher volt every once in a while. What number are you at now?
6.3.
Has it gone above that before?
6.4.
Okay. Wow, 6.5.
6.5.
So we're going to let it sit as I kind of go over the next part. Let me know if it goes above 6.5. Now, the other piece of this location, the reason why it's named Lodge Alley, this is because the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here. So at times, you guys will hear the term Illuminati on your spirit boxes as we're walking in before you know anything about the Freemasons in this location. The funny thing is who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio? That's my first question. Second, why are we only hearing it here? Again, kind of a weird coincidence. I verified every one of them that has occurred because it is such a weird term to hear on a radio station. And again, 6 times last year, 3 times this year. So these are things I can't make up. We'll also get terms like Founding Fathers, again, symbols, Mason, anything relative to Freemasonry. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories with you guys because you're on a ghost hunt. But again, it is a funny occurrence that actually pops up. By the way, have you had any weird terms show up while we've been here? Along the way? Okay. You didn't speak up, so I mean, the bypass. How high have we gotten on that guy?
6'5".
6'5" was the highest. You go ahead and pick it up. That's probably as
I
high
saw
as it's going to go.
6'6".
You saw it?
6'6"?
6'6"?
Wow.
6'6".
So I'll take 6'6". Like, that's definitely a decent number for this location. That would not be an exciting number for the Pinckney Mansion site. Just so you guys know, every location has its own different base. Now, the next place that we're going to is another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing now. Again, this is a very quick stop because this is not a space where we stop and ask questions. The next space is kind of a staple for Charleston, but I've been booted out of the one side of it because it is considered residential. You guys have all the blinky lights and the noisemakers, which is part of the reason why we use earbuds with everything now. Not to mention it makes things a lot easier in real time. But we're going to sneak in on the one side and we're going to kind of find our spot because, again, it is kind of a staple for any type of ghost tour. Every local probably knows this. Nick and Kenzie over there have probably heard this story 1,000 times. We're going to go talk about the doctor, if you guys know that story. Of course, I'm going to tell it a little bit differently just because we're ghost hunting. You need different details. It's not a campfire ghost story. But the other piece of this is I'm also going to tell you how I got booted out of there because it is relevant to our last stop that we're going to, and I'm going to tell you why once we get there. So continue listening in on your spirit boxes. Because that tour is still at the end here, I'm going to ask that the video cameras will stop at this point. I'm going to be watching them very closely to see if any orbs or any kind of cold anomalies are passing through. I've caught quite a few orbs in this location. That's exactly what your camera does. And again, I can debunk all of the insects that are flying by that everybody says, that was an orb. Like, no, it wasn't. It was a bug. So, any other questions about a weird location? It does get a little bit more rocky as we kind of get to the end of this location. Oh, good, they're moving. So, we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next space, so that's why we stopped the recordings at the end of this alley anyway, so kind of keep that in mind. All right, let's go to another crazy alley. Like this one.
That's right, let's go.
These are like dark mansion, abandoned house or something. You gonna learn that?
What?
Did you get the book? No. What website is he talking about? You get these books for free. I didn't see any.
Oh.
I don't know what Brigman comes up with this stuff.
Is that the Army One Source or ICE or something?
Military One Source?
Yeah.
I looked on there. There ain't nothing about free books.
Is there anybody here? Please say here.
Ask her if she knows the answers to all Security Plus questions.
Who?
Eliza.
Hey, Eliza, do you know the answers to all the Security Plus questions for this site? So, just ignore what I said.
I'm ready to go one of these spooky alleyways.
I'm not hearing anything.
All heard it. However, the person with the drone
The only thing I heard is music randomly.
Yeah. I wonder if this thing has audio. Or is it just video? Oh, hold on. I gotta catch this on camera. Let's see if these are Eliza.
Eliza, if you were in that group,
Tell her to hook us up with one of her friends.
I just heard some R&B songs singing.
You can hear that?
What?
No.
No, there's some R&B songs singing, I think.
Really?
For a second, yeah. It goes on for like half a second. You'll hear it.
Does that mean that they're talking to you? Is that what he means by that?
I doubt it.
No,
She's scanning through radio stations.
Ah.
They're scanning through AM and FM radio station at the same time.
Huh.
I really don't think that captures it. Why would that capture anything?
Right.
I don't know. He was supposed to come to you and explain to you what the hell that does.
When was the radio created?
back in the 18th century.
What time frame?
I don't know, 1900,
No, a little bit before that.
1855.
Yeah, it was like 1885.
Yeah, you're right.
Ah,
And then run away.
that's when the army was created,
1885?
wasn't it?
No, it was 1775.
100 years before.
105 years. June 14th, 1775.
All right,
Tradition.
this probably hasn't changed over the years at all.
All them soggy water boys.
That's right.
Soggy bottom water boys, or whatever it's called.
George
The old stuff.
George Washington was the general.
George Washington was not even the general then at the time of when Eliza was alive. It wasn't even a thing. That's 30 years before.
Eliza was 30 years before,
Before the
so there was no presidents. That wasn't even a thing.
What's going on with yours?
I have not heard anything besides like music.
Are you? Well, that's okay. It's the matter of the lyrics.
Yeah, I haven't heard words.
Yeah, so if you hear like
Yeah, it's just been-
Robert Plant screaming "Stairway to Heaven," I want to know that you've heard "Stairway to Heaven."
Yeah,
You know.
I've been trying to listen. I haven't really. Sometimes I get some like inaudible words.
Yeah.
But it's.
But
Like
your
stuff I
device,
can't
this is
know.
brand new. Like this is
Yeah.
a new upgrade with that ANC on the back, the auto noise canceling. So it's still kind of in test mode. But I
Right.
figured like with two guys like understanding technology, I figured he could help you out by taking that other earbud and kind of helping you guys out. I know it put you guys a little close head to head, but at the same token, it is helpful. And this is not an easy task to do. So especially with noise canceling being involved, like it's not easy. You're not
Yeah.
going to hear a whole lot coming out of there. You might get about 10 to 12 terms in our 2 hours together. So
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
keep that in mind too. So the fact that you haven't heard anything yet, I'm not going to say I'm not surprised, but I was kind of hoping for more.
Yeah,
But that's okay.
At the moment, I've just basically just been found music in the background.
So at the
No
time
words.
of this girl, there was no president. Wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh,
At the time she got married, correct.
right.
But she died before that too.
So she died way before George Washington was even born.
Didn't you say 1745? Or
1744 is when she got
44?
married.
Oh, I thought one of them died.
I didn't
said-
tell you about anything about like as
No.
far as the specifics on their deaths.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't give those numbers out, not until the end, to kind of see if anything starts to click together.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah,
right.
44 was the year they got married.
That's what it was.
That's the only thing I really give out, just
Right.
because I like to put the time frame and the time space in people's minds, so you kind of know where we're talking about.
Right.
So with the cameras, I'm not always doing a follow-up in real time because those aren't always a real-time catch. It's usually watching the videos the next day.
Right.
And I do send them to YouTube so you can blow them up on your TV, computer, tablets, whatever you want to do. I watch it on a pretty large computer screen so I can kind of see everything.
Right.
But again, with the 2 cameras, I don't always follow up. Yes, ma'am.
Appeared 8 people around us. People around us.
There's always people around us here. This location.
I just heard
Maybe
someone
he
sing
might
all
have
day.
8 people around us.
I just heard someone sing all day.
Got it. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next group, and then I'll probably pull us to the back here pretty shortly. Nobody's giving me anything like super specific. There's no crazy spikes. Steven, you got anything?
It went up to 13.8 just for a second.
He's gotten up to a 10 on the other one. So yeah,
Anybody with me, please say here very loudly. Please say here very loudly for me.
There was one. I reset it, but I think it was blue.
Not recorded, it didn't come back. But blue actually shows up here a lot because whoever using that like to ask a lot, like shows you the color they gave us. So we know. What do you got now? Got all these people.
listen to?
What are you listening to? Just static?
Essentially. Oh, she just said some words.
I just saw a comet go by.
What, meteor?
On the camera.
Oh.
Alright, so Janice and Steven,
December 4th?
come on back, guys. We're going to get these answers going on. Any other words coming up on yours?
I heard December 4th very clearly.
Nothing yet.
Let me tell him.
December 4th.
Yeah.
Huh.
You're going to get most of the night. When you do get a word, it's exciting because, like I said, that device is about 75% accurate. So I usually get pretty excited about that. The reason why I bring this back so early, I'm cutting it short on this one because not a whole lot's going on. I mean, you're hearing a lot of things, so good on you for getting the gist of how to listen to it, but nothing for me that is super specific enough to actually say we have something going on. What do you have now? Yeah, you have to remember that that app is meant to try to scare people. So anything that says Satan or exercise, you know, that kind of mentality. I usually throw that stuff, like, again, 80%. So what I want to talk about first is the EMF spikes. We had it go all the way to 13.8 was an exact number. Kenzie got hers up to about a 10. So what do those numbers actually mean? Let's kind of put this in relative space around your home. If you were to put, by the way, those of you with video cameras, if you want to stop recording, to kind of give your hands a break, you can do that. So for you, Jay, that's going to be the button on top of the camera all the way to the right. And then play, I think you already know where you're at. Standards, not the colonial times that she came from. The reason I bring this up is because her husband was over double her age when they married. If you ask her how old she was, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14 of when she got married. So again, think of today's standards. Kind of a creepy age gap, by the way, in the colonial times and in today's standards, just to kind of give you that information. But she married him because her father, who was over in England, thought he was dying. And he's trying to bring all of his children home one last time. Well, Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so instead she gets married in 1744. You don't get married in 1744 for a green card, because we're not even a country yet. So she did marry him out of love, and no, there was no foul play or any affairs. So don't poke the bear on that one for those of you with spirit boxes, because it didn't happen. Now, she was correct. Her father didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England, from to this space where we're standing right now. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least an hour that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise you. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. Some of you are wearing it tonight. So, when she got it, she didn't know what to do with it. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. Obviously, it's not always warm here. She figured it out. She moved it to a cash crop plantation near the Stono River south of here and gets a hold of her father and says, the rice plantations we have are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something absolutely unheard of for the 1700s. Now, that's the kind of weird, boring business stuff of Eliza. Let's get into the weird shit. That's why everybody's here. So I'm going to go through kind of a series of questions with all the communication devices. So with yours back there, Susan, because it's such a new device, you're going to have to cherry pick. Just because I don't have a set of questions for that one just yet. An easy one would be Eliza's initials, and I'm going to go through kind of what those are so you know what you're looking for with that guy. So with yours, I want you to go after the children. I already told you there was one. His name was Charles. You can ask how many children she had and what their names were. Don't ask anything else. The reason why I'm asking her not to ask anything else, there's a tragedy there. This is a very prominent English woman. If we piss her off, all activity will stop. Speaking of which, have we gotten any numbers on that guy yet? No, nothing at all. So if we were getting numbers, they would have stopped if we started poking that bear. I will let you know what that tragedy is before we leave the space. So those are your two very simple questions at this point. If you're getting bored with those, we'll kind of cherry pick off of what else we have going on in this location. Nick, with yours, Eliza's death. How old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So again, these are obviously non-yes and no questions. So, Laura, with yours, because you have the word list, it does give us a lot of things, so I'm kind of leaving the marriage question to you, like how old she was, because we will get numbers on there as well. But we have two Elizas that we're dealing with in this location. Charles married two women named Eliza. Kind of a jerk move or very smart, depending on who you are. Now, they both have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. So obviously with yours back there, Susan, you would be looking for ELP, like that's a big initial. But here's the funny thing about those two Elizas. The first Eliza died in January of 1744, and 5 months later he marries another Eliza. So in May of the same year. So kind of a jerk move if you look at it, but again, it just depends on who you are. So with your spirit box, we don't get a whole lot of like multiple syllable words. So we're going to keep yours nice and simple. And that's actually going to be the same thing with yours, Andrew, because those two spirit boxes work the exact same way. The mansion's not here anymore. Ask what happened to it and when did that happen. So again, we're looking for a very specific date. So when that does occur. I think that covers all of the communication devices. So I actually have to work with Steven for just a few minutes to kind of show him how to use that motion sensor a little bit further. The rest of you are going to be bouncing around, bless you. Have we had any lights come up on yours, Kenzie, at all?
Not yet.
Nothing. Interesting. Very interesting that we've had absolutely no come out of both of you. So normally we've had something going on already. All right, we're going to spread out, but obviously stay away from vehicles. Please don't go in between vehicles either. Bless you again. But I'm going to work with Steven and then start bouncing around with all of you. Again, if there's another set of questions that interested you, by all means. You're all asking questions. The answers can go anywhere. So you might be asking a question, but Nick over there might actually get the answer. That's why we use so many different types of communication devices, because it can literally go anywhere. So have some fun with it. I'm going to be with all of you in just a minute. So, Steven. Yes. All right. Get you all ready. Too excited.
Well, ask away.
Liza, what happened to the mansion? What year did the mansion get taken down? What happened to the mansion? What year was the mansion destroyed?
All right, Nick. What are you hearing on that one?
You're all done. Okay.
Haven't heard anything yet.
She didn't talk to you?
Nobody talked to me.
What a fucking bitch.
Thought I'd be able to take her out on a date or something after this, and
She don't wanna
just
come.
turned me away. Racist.
Just watch. Watch the next girl you meet. Her name's gonna be Eliza. Oh, now I see what these red lights do. See how you don't see no light there?
Mm-hmm.
But you can see it on the camera. See the
It's
purple
like
on the
little
floor?
dots. I see it. iPhone has a mode like that. New iPhones.
Yeah, but
Where
this
you
is
can see, you can see little dots on your camera.
this is 4K 30. This is a 4K camera,
It's pretty good.
so it's pretty expensive. I'm ready to go to the spooky places. This is a parking lot.
That's super bright, dude. How did they like?
So
Put
did
the lights
she
in
die
those-
right here?
What?
If the mansion was right here, did she die here in this ground right here?
I guess one of them would have. Yeah. One of the realizes. But she died and then married 5 months later. Right?
So what about she came back and stole one of these cars?
Probably. I'd do it.
Probably.
If I was a ghost, I'd go and jack all the cars I could.
That's right. I'll take all their change out of their cars.
I'd hack their bank accounts and take trips to Hawaii.
There you go. There's only one
I'd
button
learn
right here.
CEH.
Here's why the place is haunted. Big John used to sit in the back of the bar, your right, my left. So he used to sit back there and tell the bartender if the cadets that were coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys came in, they weren't old enough to drink. So he had the bartender throw them out. They left pretty angry. They came back the next night and tried to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John saw what was going on and he slammed down his beer and he goes over and just starts pounding on these guys, just beating the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots went off. John got grazed in the neck, but the bullet landed behind him in the wall. John gets up after being the only one that's been shot. Somebody creeping up on me? And he goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer and 2 guys on the floor in ambulance. Now, the story I just told you, nobody died in. Normally, when you think of a haunted building, there's usually some kind of tragic death. That's not the case here. What's going on with this location is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even if this new renovation of Big John's filled it in, they sealed Big John's blood inside the building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little, queasy, nauseous, headache. These are common symptoms when you're seeking out paranormal activity, which is why I'm bringing up this story in general. Anybody feels any of those symptoms while we're out tonight, I'll need to know immediately so we can move the whole group and get that person to safety and kind of figure out what's going on. Not everything is going to be paranormal, just so you know. I'm not Zach Bagans. I'll repeat that several times tonight. This got very real for a lot of you, I'm sure, because you all got very, very quiet. So let's move on to another very quick story to get your mind off of it. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. You didn't already know that from another history tour, and now you do. Big Johnston building is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantling you see on the side here also wraps around the front. A piece of it broke off in the front, hit somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. The previous owner used to see dark shadows in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night after closing. I say allegedly a lot with that story because I have no proof. It's usually just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, yes, it was a good chuckle. Thanks for the laughs. Now, is everybody ready to go learn more about this crazy equipment you guys have in your hands? Are you okay over there, Susan? You look a little jittery now.
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, you said that the Ouija board thing was going to freak you out a little bit.
It opens the portal to hell. You know this.
No, I don't know that.
That's what we were told.
Of course you are, because it has a very bad stigma to it. Let's head over this way.
Dude, what you got? You got anything crazy?
No, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for.
Cars might be passing through here.
Yeah, I thought it was recording.
All right, so a couple of things. We got 3 cameras in play tonight. So first and foremost, we will be in spaces where there will be parked cars and people walking around us on a very busy Friday night. People do not like to be filmed, and they definitely don't like their cars to be filmed. Be very respectful when we're in spaces like that. And if I do a "Andy's coming," that's kind of, Jay, you're gonna be pointing your camera straight down because obviously you look like a YouTuber out here. Play yours is easy because it's a cell phone, so you can basically just pretend like you're looking at your cell phone. And then Kenzie has the other one, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously you're gonna be a tourist all night, so most people don't give a crap as long as you're not taking pictures of a license plate. So where the heck are we? This is the big red barn. This is where we keep some of the horses for your carriage rides. So history here is really simple, and it's just a great example so we can talk more about your gear. Now, the history is that this is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Keywords being delivery, milk, eggs, anything relative to a stable. So let's talk about all of your communication devices to kind of get things cleared up a little bit. What's the first question everybody wants to ask, a ghost on a Ouija board or a spirit box? You guys watch TVs and movies? What's your name? What else do you have?
How'd you die?
How'd you die? Be more basic.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Are you mad?
Wow, well, are you mad is a good one. So in the event that a spirit box person, so Janice hears the word no to "are you mad?" that means that somebody's mad. So again, normally the question that I was looking for is, are you here? Is anybody here? Because a Ouija board has a yes/no answer on it, and if somebody answers no, that means somebody's here. So again, you have a direct answer. We will not be using yes/no questions all night long. Even if you are a skeptic and you're here to have some fun because it's Halloween month, again, we're looking for paranormal activity. Let's go after some very specific details. For example, when I'm teaching people how to use all of the devices in your hands, it's normally ask questions you already know the answers to first, so you get used to how to listen to it, how to watch it, so forth and so on. If somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we're looking and listening for the color red. However, most of you are using song lyrics and DJs to be able to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to a song lyric or DJ, but fire truck, blood, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as a direct answer. What color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good because it was direct. However, most of the night, you guys have all my gear out tonight except for the lasers. So again, I'm not using the lasers tonight because that's usually if I have to add one more person. But at the same time, I'm going to actually require that there's at least 2 things happening before I'm going to label it as paranormal. For example, let's say Laura, was it? Mm-hmm. Let's say Laura's word list has the word art on it. That doesn't mean anything to us over here. I'm going to use you again. Let's say Janice hears the number 40 around the same time. Put them together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You guys see where I'm going with this, where you're going to have to piece all the puzzle pieces together? Again, that's what you have me here for, because there will be areas where we spread out a little bit, and you won't know what's going on with the other person's device, and I'm going to be bouncing around, kind of monitoring everything, and then I'll pull us back. So, cameras, you already kind of have the gist of the respect piece, but let's talk about the little bit more details. Clay, we'll start with yours. I know I said don't basically film people walking by, but I do want you to try to keep one of us in view at all times. We're the warmest thing out here. So again, when we have a warm thing like 97 degrees, it's much easier to find a cold spot when, you know, we have that contrast. The other thing is to keep the sky out of view. The blue dot I talked about defaults to the sky because there's no surface. So if you can, some places will be impossible, just do your best. Try to keep, you know, the sky out of view if that's a possibility. Jay, with your camera, very simple. Nice slow movements. You can actually take the other earbud from Andrew and kind of help him out if you'd like. Again, filming isn't always the most glorious job when we're on an investigation. That's why I usually try to pair it up with a spirit box or something else of communications that kind of help out in another way. And then, of course, nice still pictures out of you, Kenzie. So we already talked about that. I think the only person I need to work with is going to be Steven, and that's more of a one-on-one at the next location. So have I screwed up anybody's name completely horribly just yet? I think I pretty much have most of you down.
Good.
You're good.
Yeah, I think I got it. All right, you guys ready to get away from, well, I guess, any further questions that you might have about the device in your hand?
No idea what I'm doing yet, but I'll figure it out.
Okay, you're going to start hearing voices come through, and I'm going to want to know what voices you're hearing.
In this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a radio.
I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, well, you're going to let me know, and I'll let them know. Because
got it,
if you hear something specific, it's going to might be relative to somebody else's thing going on.
All right.
All right.
Most of it's DJs and music, right?
Yeah. So, again, I want to know that you heard, welcome to Charleston, and listen to 93.5. Because the number 93 might mean something relevant to the location where we're at. And if I tie that in with another clue of the same person, we might actually have something going on. Very beginner methods here. All right, let's get away from football players and ponies. Let's go learn some real history. We're going to go this way.
When do you turn it on?
Turn what? You can turn it on now, actually.
Okay.
I should have took a piss.
I did.
I should
That's what
have.
I was doing when I was ordering my Uber. See, I planned ahead, dude. You didn't. Last minute things all the time. That's how it works.
No. No way.
That's how I'm gonna be all deployment.
What?
I'm just gonna do last minute things.
You're going to be late to everything.
Yep.
Me too. I'll be late to all the meetings. Late to work.
Hey, where's work tonight? You said they'll be here when it gets here,
I'll
alright?
get here when I get here. Man. I'm at the NEX. Shoot. Trying to holler at the cash register girl.
Probably.
In its own light, with all of the hype of Halloween and you know, the witch trials and everything. So
I think you're here at a football game.
you know, when it's
We're on that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think there was a football game.
All right, welcome to technically your first space. We only spent 30 minutes together so far, right? So this is a parking lot. Congratulations, guys, you made it. What is this place? This place used to be something. It used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site. Layout of the land. The mansion sat in the front of this space where those cars are parked facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across. And we're standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So, all of you communication people, because I think I put a communication device within every pair, we are not going to get the questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red horn. This would be the first space where I withhold information purposely to make sure you have a genuine experience. So, with that said, who the heck were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Chucks, in case you lost count of those 3. Now, with that said, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than everybody here. I can make that promise right now. So we're going to talk about Eliza. Eliza married Charles, her husband, at a very young age. Starts and stops with this guy as well. But Jay, I think this one's actually going to go to you, my man. So you kind of got here early, and that is a newer, upgraded model. So I want to kind of see how that's actually going to work out and in the different temperatures, because it just came out of a nice warm bag. All right. Spirit boxes and communication devices. This is where things start to get exciting. So, if you're unfamiliar with spirit boxes, they're basically a way for us to communicate with the dead. Now, how do these guys actually work? If you're familiar with the TV shows and all of the YouTube videos, it's usually the white noise that they kind of put up in the middle of the screen, and then your host will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it, trying to convince you of the same thing. Yeah, we're going to be doing that in real time. However, there are different methods because none of you are trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours at a time, plus all of the history I'm going to give you. Somebody is going to fall asleep. So there's another method, a beginner method, to actually slow down the radio sweep and allow the radio chatter to come through. In the event that we can make out whatever a DJ, a song lyric, or a commercial is actually saying, it's a 50-50 shot. We can tie it to the location, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you. So, in a nutshell, what are we listening for? The song lyrics, DJs, and commercials. If a DJ comes on and says, buy a Kia today, I want to know that you heard buy a Kia today. However, I don't know what's on this. Nick, I think we're going to go with you first, because I know you were pretty chatty on your text messaging today. So now Nick's going to be the only one to hear this in real time. So he's going to have an earbud in, and I don't want these back because earwax is gross. But the cool thing is I'm going to be writing down everything that he hears in real time, but I am going to be spot checking this guy tomorrow morning because it's recording the sweep only. So you can mess with the volume all you want to, whatever's comfortable for you. It records it even Steven. I don't know how it does it, but it's why we have it. So again, you're going to have to undo the twist tie for your earbud, and then your volume is the wheel at the top. It's not the button. Okay. I actually use 2 of these, but this one is not going to record. The reason why is because if I were to give you 4 hours of radio chatter, somebody's going to hunt me down later and kill me, and I'll become the ghost. So this is just for recording in real time purposes, so I can manually record it of whatever the person is going to actually hear. Janice, was it? Am I getting the right name right? Perfect. So Janice, you're going to have the other one. Earwax is gross. Your volume wheel is right here. So I'm just turning it all the way down so you don't get blasted. And that one's actually going to go to you. Radio, DJs, song lyrics, commercials. That's basically what you're listening for. Just the reason why we're doing it this way is because disembodied voices of what they actually show you on television are a rarity. I only capture about 4 of those a year, not 12 an episode. So again, they are a rarity. That's just another reason why we're using this very beginner method.
Can I open tie this?
Yeah, there's a twist tie around it. Okay. Those are yours. I want you to be comfortable, have some fun with it. The next spirit box we don't actually have to listen to. This guy is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. If you're familiar with the TV shows, again, this would replace an ovilus. So an ovilus actually gives us words in the middle of the screen from time to time. Now this guy, the reason why we're using this one instead is it has over 9,100 words in it in phrases versus the ovilus, which only has about 2,000 in it. So this is a phone app. 80% of what we're going to see out of this guy is going to be garbage. It's not going to mean anything. So it's the other 5 to 20% that's going to be relevant to our location, a person, one of you. You guys kind of get the gist of it. The cool thing about this guy is that it saves all of these words and phrases into a list with timestamps. It helps me when I'm going through your data to see if it matches up with something that went on to a spirit box recording, so forth and so on. This is the first thing that I look at when I'm going through your media. So I'm going to clear out last night's list and start us off fresh. Laura, I think this one's actually going to go to you. I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the word list. It's got a little bit of weight to it. The next spirit box. So we use a lot of spirit boxes, obviously. So a lot going on with these guys. They're a lot of fun. So Andrew, this one's actually going to go to you. This one works a little bit differently. You will not be able to control the volume because it's already preset. You can't mess it, go up and down. It will not record. I'll be manually recording what you hear, but it's also going to try to take out the white noise in between the radio stations. Okay. So hopefully you're only going to hear words. So again, earbuds are yours. After you undo the twist tie. In order, if you don't want to listen to it at a certain point, you're just going to have to pop out the earbud. It's the only way that that guy actually specifically works. Let's see. It's the wheel at the top. So there's a button, but then there's a wheel right next to it.
What does that do?
No, it's changing the stations for you. It's a sweep. It's going to do it all night long.
Yeah, you carry cameras.
So the next communication device is a brand new device that's just been introduced to the field less than 6 months ago. It's not even on your TV shows yet. So in a nutshell, this is called an Envoy. But what it basically is it's a digital Ouija board. It has basically all of the letters going across, and every time there's an EMF spike, which we're going to get to in just a minute, it's going to stop a cursor and save the letter to the bottom row. the hope here is that we're going to have full names, anagrams, initials, anything that might be relevant to our space. You guys kind of get the gist with that with all of the other spirit boxes. So, was it Laura? Am I getting the name right? No. Susan. Thank you. See, he does speak. This one's going to go to you.
Okay.
Only because it's a brand new device, and I kind of want your perspective on it.
Okay.
So, again, based on what you told me earlier, I won't exploit you just yet, but that one's going to go to you.
Okay.
I know you're going to give that to you. You're a doubter.
Now, has that thing been super productive in the past 4 weeks that I've had it? Not necessarily. It's given us a few things here and there, but it's not like a holy crap moment every time it gives us something. Yeah, a little bit of rough there, huh? So, this guy is an open air spirit box. So, basically, in a nutshell, it is going to sweep through both the FM and AM radio stations at the same time, try to take out the white noise, and hopefully only give you words, Miss Bev. So this one's actually going to go to you. The only thing you need to worry about is where the mute button is, because we're near ponies and I don't want to disturb them. So I'll let you know when it's safe to unmute it. So blinky lights are the top. On your right hand side, there's only one button. That's the mute. It's on mute right now. So that one's actually going to go over to you. Let's see. Alright, so you guys have all seen these on your TV shows. These are pretty much a staple. So this is going to measure the electricity in the air. I use this one specifically to do a lot of debunking. So parking meters, cell phones, buildings, anytime we're near one, the reason why they use these on TV is they're very sensitive. So again, I'm going to use this to debunk a lot of things. Kenzie, did I get the name right? So this one's going to go to you, but you're going to have two jobs. So because this can be a little dry and boring. So you're going to be taking lots and lots of photos for us. Again, the camera doesn't have a flash. So be very still when you're taking pictures. So I will analyze every photo. Any selfie gets deleted, just so you know. So the other cool thing is that he has an extra earbud, so you can actually help him listen in. So again, you're gonna have two jobs. Just let me know whatever colors you see. I already have the measurements memorized, so that way I can write them down and record them. But yeah, you will take 5 fingers to 500. Doesn't matter to me. I'll go through them all.
Okay.
I don't know what you committed yourself to right there.
It's okay. Don't try to break the record, and I'm not even going to tell you what that number is.
No problem.
You're the only one. Yeah, everybody else geared up but you. Yep. Steven, right?
The best for last.
So you look like you need some serious stuff going on, right? So you've been very quiet, So I'm giving you a multitask.
Okay.
This is what we call a millimeter. So the device I just gave over to Kenzie, it measures EMF, and so does this. But this one is way more accurate, and it's digital. So hers only goes to 25. I've seen this one spike out at over 200. The big numbers, I want to know what's going on. Anything above 2.5 milliamps. So that's your big numbers at the top. That's going to be her second green dot. So again, I've seen this thing spike. You and I are going to talk a lot more about this at our next location. The bottom number is ambient temperature. So in the event Clay finds something on his camera, you and I are going to prove it with this thermometer right here to see where the cold spot's coming from and try to debunk it. Last thing, and we don't always use it in every location, but it does come in handy, it has a motion sensor built into it. In the event something gets close to the antenna, it's going to go off. Obviously, I'm not touching it, I'm touching it now. There's different colors, different tones. You and I are going to talk a lot more about that 2 stops from now when we start using it. So this one's going to go to you. Get used to the numbers of how they move around on your red screen. So I am going to debunk a lot of things. If we're on street corners or any kind of sidewalk, it's more than likely going to be a parking meter because the electrical lines are underneath the sidewalk. So that's usually anywhere between 2 to 6 milligauss. So kind of keep that in the back of your brain.
The key number is 2.5.
2.5. When we're in a location, we're like, all right, this is going to be your numbers for this spot.
Okay.
All right, you guys empty the bag. Clay's in charge. Go have fun. Let me know what happens.
I'm in charge.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Don't go anywhere. There was a delayed reaction on that one. All right, so thank you for emptying the bag. That makes everything a whole lot easier for me. Now,
Persian
of course, we start here for a reason.
These lights are on, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
These things are on?
Oh, yeah.
Up in the front? Okay.
I watch your camera a lot to make sure you're blinking when you're recording as opposed to,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Okay.
Again, you're going to have questions about your devices, and we're going to be talking about, more about your devices as we move through the next 2 spaces, but let's talk about why we started here. Big John's. Place is haunted. Of course it is. That's why we started here. It's why it was in everybody's text this morning. I wanted you to remember the name. This place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Yes, he named it after himself. Imagine that. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. I already told you guys I'm not a sports fan. I had to memorize this shit so I can repeat it back to you. Now, whenever I give you a history of a location, I will always slow down on key words. I'm from the north, and I get a lot of Southerners where I talk too fast for them, which is another reason why we record everything. The key words here are going to be 47, New York, Giants, anything relative to a bar, and the name John, for all of you communicating.